Welcome to the Fusion Mastery course. In this lesson, we'll be talking about the Toolbox. After completing this lesson, you'll be able to access the Toolbox and customize the Toolbox. At this point, you're familiar with two separate ways to access your tools. From the toolbar in each workspace, you can use the drop-downs for things like sketching, creating, and modifying geometry. You can also use the right-click marking menu. But there is also another way that we can access various tools. The S key on the keyboard brings up what's called the Model Toolbox. Now, by default, the Model Toolbox has Extrude and Fillet on it in the Model workspace. In order to add tools to this, we simply need to start typing. For instance, if we want to add Push-Pull, we start typing P-U, and notice that there's nothing called Push-Pull, but there's something called Press-Pull. It's smart enough to know what you're trying to find and help you access those tools. Just like adding tools to our toolbar, we simply use the up arrow and it adds it to our toolbox. Now, if you want to remove it, we can start typing it again to find it, and then we can click the X to remove it from the toolbox. Let's go ahead and navigate to the Patch workspace, hit S, and notice that we now have Patch and Stitch. Now, if we go to the Render environment and we hit S, notice that we have Scene Settings. So again, just like the marking menu, the S key or the toolbox is going to be workspace specific. S key in the animation workspace brings up Transform Components and Restore Home. So as you're working, and if you need quick access to tools that aren't necessarily on the marking menu or not easily accessible in any other means, you can add them to the S key toolbox, which again is workspace specific. Now, of course, there are other ways to access tools. You can go to the toolbar, you can use the marking menu, or you can use the S key and add them to your toolbox. But a lot of commands have quick keys, like the line tool. Just hitting L on the keyboard will prompt you to start a sketch and start creating a line. So keep in mind that some tools will have quick access to them. For instance, C for circle or R for rectangle when you're in the sketching environment. So play around with these various methods and see which works best for your workflow. When I started using Fusion 360, I was skeptical that the marking menu would work for me because I wasn't very happy with this type of interface in various other CAD systems. But in Fusion 360, the marking menu, especially for the sketching environment, is very intuitive and it can make quick access to doing things like adding a circle. Or if we want to go ahead and add an offset. Just holding down the right mouse button and getting to those quickly helps. Also, the toolbox allows me to add things that I access frequently but aren't on the marking menu by simply adding them whenever I come across a need to use something over and over again. So keep it in mind that when you start to set up your workspace and your workflow, you don't have to be married to one way. You can access different tools at different times from different areas.